I'll leave you with this with Dustin Chafin.
Okay.
Everyone's doing a little. There's always someone doing better than you in comedy.
Yes, always. In everything.
It hurts.
Yeah, it does
It
hurt.
never stops hurting either. You
Yeah.
never get to a place where you're like, hey, I'm really happy. I mean, you could be 50% happy. The percentage of happiness for somebody, you could be 90% happy for them and 10% bitter, or 10% happy and 90% bitter. I think the percentages vary depending on where you are spiritually, but you can't get away from envy and wishing that you had someone else's career. I mean, if you accept that about yourself, maybe you'll feel less guilty for, all these mixed feelings you have when your friends get stuff,
Yeah, I think that's where it comes in, like, self-help and, like, therapy's changed my whole outlook on everything, and not drinking and certain things that I changed about my life, made, like you said, centered and, balanced. It's like if you don't do work on yourself, you will fall down a pit of jealousy that'll just ruin you.
I know. You have to work really hard to not fall into that place.
It's tough.
Because they're like little holes all over the earth when you're a comic. And you could so easily slip into them. They're all over the place.
All over.
So that's a lot of work as well.
Well, it's funny because I've worked with, I work with a lot of young guys and kind of brought up a lot of guys, and then it's like, to see like Pete Holmes was my Barker, and like to see a guy like that, it's just like, it's just so good. And then it's just like, I'm like, oh my goodness, I got, I can figure this out. And Nate Bargatze was a Barker, and all these guys.
Wow.
And it's like, I've had to deal with their success and be grateful.
Sure.
And then, Pete put me on the show, so that was fun, and felt like that was his way of giving back, and so people, and Nate's been good to me as well, but but it takes a second, when you like this position changes, because you're used to being like, okay, I got you, little kid, let me show you the way, and then they just blow up, and you're just like, can I get something from you now?
No, I mean,
weird.
Jackie Case and I have a podcast, and we talk about this a lot of we feel like we were skipped, and comedy went from, they took from our generation, like Kathleen Madigan, and maybe Margaret Cho, and then they were like, all right, now we need some 30-year-olds. And it's like, wait, there's a whole bunch of us that are actually really good, and you just went over us, and so we still grapple with that, anger. I do, especially that, like, hey, what about me? Like, just because I didn't get picked when I was 25 doesn't mean I shouldn't be picked now. I mean, I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
You're great. And there's I guess the cool thing you can, that at least I try to think of is there's these little niche audiences for everybody.
Sure.
And you can make a living having a niche audience. And you could even argue that Maron might be the example of the biggest niche audience, but it's still very, it's still very Maron-y, his audience. But he makes a really good living now.
Yeah, I loved him, and I always loved him, and I always felt like, when you're like, I like that band before everybody else. Like,
right.
I was like that guy with Maron. I felt like I always saw how brilliant he was, even when he was just, hating himself and not, really just being a club comic.
Yesterday?
Yeah. Yeah, but hating himself with way less money.
Yes, yeah.
And way less nominations.
Right.
So it was just like, that was a whole different Maron. It's just, and, but yeah, I remember he was kind of a mentor to me a little bit, but we partied together, and we had a weird relationship. But it was like, but yeah, I always felt like he was like the Bill Hicks that I met in New York.
Yes,
like he was a guy doing stuff, taking risks, pissing off audiences.
Right.
Where it was just like rock and roll. It was like so cool to see him early on when he was just a club comic. Like it was.
And it's
great.
so weird because he wasn't. He had been on Conan, I think, over 40 times, and he was not a household name.
Oh,
that's astonishing to me.
40 times.
Different 5-minute sets.
That's like a Rickles Tonight Show thing. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, but he was a little much, I think, and a lot of stuff was, it's like kind of highbrow and weird and, out there, and kind of like his feelings, and people weren't ready for that yet.
Male feelings.
Yeah, he was one of the first guys to do like him and like Richard Lewis, like first
and Louis
guys.
too. I mean,
Louis, sure, yeah. Louis. Well, Louis was like one of the first people that, I saw, feelings about, not being, you can relate to this, not being sure how you feel about being a parent.
Right.
Like those feelings. He was one of the, I got to see that. And that's what, it was fun watching you the other night do stand-up, because it's like, you have this thing that I try to tell people to do all the time, where it's like, you have kind of a dark light combination, and I feel like
interesting.
It's like I feel like, and it has a lot to do with your delivery, where it's like you say the darkest things, but you got this like this bright-eyed smile and like this silliness to you, but you say the darkest things, and then it's like a beautiful thing to watch. And we were talking about Dave Attell and stuff, and he has that through not necessarily his face, but it's more of like noises and stuff. He's like, and like, and then he'll do something, and then it's like, he'll make some weird noise or sing.
He does not have a sparkle face.
No,
that's true.
You have a nice sparkle face. And also, what I like about you is like, I could see, like, because I have this too, where it's like, I see confusing people. I could see where, like, maybe the right could say, oh, she's one of us. And then you start talking like, whoa. And it's just like,
that's what I feel
that's
happens.
Really funny.
There's this room, Hermosa Beach Comedy Club. And it's in LA, but it touches Orange County. It gets some Orange County people in there. And I do feel like when I walk out on stage, a lot of Orange County's like, one of us. A second wife with a job is a realtor, and then they get angry. They're like, "Wait a minute! No, you're not one of us."
Oh yeah.
That takes some shockingly takes extra massaging when the audience looks exactly like me. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was in San Antonio, and it's just like, I got the cowboy hat, and they're like real cowboys. I'm like a Hot Topic cowboy. It's like I bought a Pantera shirt and a cowboy hat, and a Dick candle. But it's like, and so and they, and I start doing anti-Trump stuff and whatever, and they're like, whoa, hey, what's happening right now? They're like, you can't wear a cowboy hat and talk like that. So it's like, it is funny how we could just not be what they see.
Yeah.
And I think to me that's always interesting.